Recording is. Yes, is. Oh, there's the, hi, I forgot you were here. I just finished filming Taylor Swift, the readathon video. That's the anti-hero ghost. I'm gonna leave it there. It occurs to me in this moment what a good sort of amalgamation of many different themes of the last few months this image is right now, this whole shot. This is my first outfit that I'm ever wearing where I kind of peep the top surgery scar. We got all the spooky things because the summer ween video is like one of my most happy times recently. When I just finished filming the Taylor Swift readathon. Good little summary, Chloe, of like lots of the things that you've been thinking about and talking about are sort of represented in this little image right here. Interesting. Time be like the passage of time and the stirring of the ice. Chloe Payne's memoir. Hello there, my parasocial pals, and welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, thank you so much for joining us. My name is Chloe Payne, and I have no idea what I'm doing. Today, we're gonna talk about taking a break. I wanted to make this video to let everyone know that I'm gonna take a break for a little while, and there are many reasons why. For one thing, I'm a little just wiped out because I had a lot of fun, but I went really hard for Pride Month. I ordinarily post weekly, so a typical month would have, maybe 4 videos. And throughout the month of June, I posted 8 videos. I think 3 bookish videos and 5 fan compilations. So for one thing, I'm gonna take a little bit of a break just because I'm tired and I could use some R&R to recover. It also just so happens that throughout July, I happen to have previously scheduled travel stuff and commitments with friends and family that I want to devote my full attention to. So the timing of taking the break during this busy month just so happens to work out very well. But the main thing that I really wanted to talk about today is that I'm going to take a break in order to spend some designated preparation time getting ready for some really cool big videos that are coming soon. We're gonna start getting into some more ambitious bookish topics. I'm gonna be preparing to do some reading such and such person's favorite books vlogs, some other really cool themed reading vlogs. I want to start a series about sharing resources for small creators and like being a small YouTuber, because I just think that this is such a weird, fun, scrappy, inspiring little community. The sort of like, less than 1,000 club and the people who are like up and coming in their YouTube passion. It's fascinating to me, and I want to make some more videos that are specifically about that. And I just think that we're all better off when we talk about those things together and share more resources with each other. So I'm very excited about that series. I might I might be able to do daily posting for October and December, kind of, Vlogtober and Vlogmas vibes. But if I'm gonna pull that off, I definitely need to start now with some pre-planning, maybe even some pre-filming. And guys, my number one most big high priority, the thing that I've already started working on, the thing that will be the next video that I post when I come back from this break. It's ambitious. It might totally flop, but I am so excited for the enthusiasm that I'm putting into it. I really think it's gonna be amazing. You don't even know. Oh my goodness. How could I even express how excited I am? Do you know what I mean? Do you feel me? Can you feel me? You know what I'm saying? Do you feel me?
You either feel me or you don't, and if you don't, then get out.
I think it's gonna be amazing. I really do. It's interesting. Ever since I started doing videos more consistently in September, I had always been very deliberate about not following that kind of common piece of YouTuber advice, which is to have a niche and to niche down, to only ever make videos about your one niche. I'm very happy for the other creators for whom that tends to work better, but for myself, I just always knew that it wouldn't really work. My interests are too varied, my energy is a little too all over the place. The things that I want to work on at any given time change. That's been the really only common thread throughout my whole creative life, my whole career. I've always been a jack of many trades and a master of none. And for a while I felt bad about that, but frankly, I like that about myself. I like getting really hyper fixated on one way of doing things or one topic for a while. And then when I have sort of expressed the interest that I came there to express in it, then I get to get excited about something else. I like sort of topic jumping throughout my life in that way. Not to mention the fact that like the perfectionism, the fear of starting without a plan. If I were to try to follow the advice about having a niche and your channel should only ever just be about your one niche, I would never have started because I would feel too much pressure to make a right choice in the very beginning. There's so much pressure, I feel like, with that mentality that before you even start posting or start doing anything on your channel, you have to decide from the beginning what your niche should be so that you can start making videos just about that one thing. And I feel so much like the trajectory of YouTube creativity is very much about you should start before you know what you're doing. You should start and just let the solving of problems or the evolution of topics be a part of what your YouTube journey is my opinion. My approach with this channel has always just been that I want to make the kinds of videos that I like to watch, or do that to the best of my ability anyway. And so far, I feel like it's been serving really well to do that. There are 600 new subscribers here who were not here in September when I started with this goal of weekly uploads. 600 new subscribers in less than a year. And I really like that the collection of people who follow this channel is a reflection of a very diverse range of interests. Like some of you are only here because of the fan compilation videos and you only watch the fan compilation videos, and maybe this is your first time even seeing my face.
Hi, gay.
Some of you are fellow bookish people, or maybe you're other booktube creators and you are here so that we can share that passion together. Some of you are not here because of any one specific niche interest. You're here to watch every video regardless of the topic because what you're vibing with is the overall personality or humor or vibe of the channel. And I super appreciate that because that's how I watch YouTube. There are very few people that I follow specifically because I know exactly what I'm gonna get from every single video, because the person is a niche creator and I know that I'm going to go to that channel because what I want is one very specific thing, and what I'm going to get from every single video is going to be the same thing that I can expect clearly every single time. Most of the people that I admire most and that I find the most entertaining and that I watch every single one of their videos, every single topic might be different. Every single type of video that they make might be very different, but then the common unifying theme is the approach that they have, the sense of humor that they have, the point of view that they bring. People like Abby Williamson, people like Swell Entertainment, people like Nicole Raffie. I will listen to anything they want to talk about. It doesn't matter what they're talking about, what the topic is, why they're interested in it. I trust their approach and I find the point of view that they bring to every topic to be very appealing and to be very interesting. And that's the kind of creator that I want to be as well. It means a lot to me that there are some people who are subscribed to this channel who are here just to follow wherever the chaos journey goes because the type of viewer that I am is that I am following creators who will just take me on a chaos journey, and I have no idea what to expect when I hit play on any one of their videos. I just know that I'm going to have a good time because of the person creating the content. So for me, the advice about having one specific niche just never felt very organic. And similarly, I've been reflecting further on that other really common piece of YouTuber advice, which is consistency. That sort of nebulous idea of consistency, the YouTube grind, being on the hamster wheel and never getting off of the hamster wheel, God forbid. Depending on the source, you might see this piece of advice ranging anywhere from you have to post every single week to some people who feel like you should be posting every single day, depending on what your niche is, how often people typically post in that community. If nothing else, people will certainly say that you should have the same designated date of every month or like day of every week that you post, because the whole idea is that you want to train your subscribers to always know that they should tune in on the 13th of every month or every other Saturday. Part of what they're preaching is that the idea of consistency is just as much about you training yourself to be a consistent outputter of content as it is also about training your subscribers to expect content from you regularly and to come back to your channel regularly, because they will always be thinking to themselves, oh, it's Sunday, there might be a new video on that channel, let me go look. Most commonly, I feel like the average recommendation that you see is to post weekly. That is kind of agreed upon as a fairly sustainable balance for being able to create a lot while also having a life outside of YouTube, be able to do things like, God forbid, sleeping and eating and going outside while providing a little bit of balance for yourself as a human being. It also is enough of like, you know, your audience being able to have that expectation of, oh, I should always tune back into Chloe's videos on Wednesdays because that's when they upload. And that it's also the opportunity throughout a year, for instance, you have many opportunities numerically for you to be spitting a lot of data at the YouTube algorithm, because they just talk so much about how it's a numbers game, it's an odds game. There's gonna be more odds, more opportunity potentially for the YouTube algorithm to pick up your video if you're creating consistently, so that any one of your videos that you post, maybe that'll be the one that the algorithm randomly picks up. Maybe this will be the one, maybe this will be the one. If you're creating consistently, by which in terms of the algorithm numbers game, they just mean creating as much as possible, then you're creating that many more data points to spit at the algorithm, and hopefully they catch as often as they can. I get that. Like, I understand that. It's logical. I do think that there are a lot of people for whom posting weekly makes a lot of sense. I do think that there's a lot about the math of it that makes sense. I will probably go back to weekly uploading after I take this little break. But I'm also just having a good time lately thinking about creativity, talking to people in my life about creativity, and reconnecting with some theater friends, and like talking about habits of actors, patterns of life that we may be in now, and how it compares to the patterns of life that we're in when we're consistently acting in shows or going on auditions. One of the things that I love so much about working in theater is that often it involves periods of time that are all about intensely focusing on the one project, and then when that project wraps, you move on. Maybe you have the schedule where you're just jumping right into another project. Maybe you need a break, or you don't have another project lined up right away. So maybe the period of time intensely focusing on one thing is followed then just by some silence in your creative brain for a second while you breathe and catch your breath. I like the temporary nature of theater creativity. I like the sort of fleeting creating something that exists for the run of a show, for instance, and then it's gone, it's over, it's done. And I like then that as the creator, it puts you in a position of you work on something really intensely for a bit, and then it's done and you make something else. You're always thinking of what's the next thing to make. That idea lends itself to sort of just the idea of seasons, and you know, it's a good and a natural and a healthy thing for time to pass and seasons to change. I like the fact that one of the plays that I had the best time working on was really only like the course of a summer. Anytime now that I think about that play, I get to think about that one summer in Chicago. When I think of certain holiday season of a certain year, it also is going to make me think of part-time gig that I had to make a little money on the side that was being a Dickensian caroler singing Christmas songs. Like, working in theater is often not only about being very intensely focused on the project that is currently your focus, but it's also very much about looking ahead and be thinking ahead of when this show wraps, am I going to be heading right into rehearsals for something else that I have previously booked? Or am I taking a break? Or am I getting into auditioning? Or am I gonna be looking forward to the project that I already have scheduled, but that doesn't start for another 6 months from now, rehearsals? And so what am I gonna do with my time in the meantime? I like that a lot about working in the theater is about, at any given time, you're maybe intensely focused on something, but you're also thinking ahead and looking ahead. Brain is always getting to operate both very intensely on the present, but also the constant setting of goals and creation of new ideas to look forward to. I have learned about myself that sometimes the weekly grind, YouTube output schedule, sometimes it creates a short-sightedness in me. At any given time, I only have the energy to be planning ahead maybe the next like month's worth of videos. But they can't be too complicated because the incredibly quick turnaround time, they have to be planned and filmed and edited and posted, and then you already have to be thinking ahead of time for what your next couple are gonna be. And so you don't have time to get super in depth on any one of them because they all have to be able to be quickly churned out. And that's not necessarily a bad thing, right? Like, I like that it's a practice that can lend itself to spontaneity, the honing of a practice of spontaneity and just following your gut and going with an instinct for what you want to work on. I think that it's a practice that does a good job of building your own trust in your creative process because you don't have any choice but to just pick a concept and run with it. You have many opportunities then as the weeks go by to look back and say to yourself, well, I've been doing this for some time and like I have some data behind me to prove that like work that I'm able to churn out on a weekly basis is I'm doing some things right. Isn't that great? It's also a very quick learning process because you're learning as you go. Very putting together the plane as you're flying it very quickly as you go kind of process. So there are good aspects to it. And as a viewer, of course, also, I can't deny that it is satisfying for there to be creators who are committed to a weekly creation schedule for my needs selfishly as a viewer who wants to be entertained all the time. One of the highlights of my weeks used to always be Jenna Marbles posting every Wednesday/Thursday. Currently, a lot of my favorite booktubers are people who post on Sundays. And so part of my Sunday routine is, ooh, there's gonna be a new Michaela Reads. Ooh, there's gonna be a new Allison Paiges. Like I can appreciate the ways in which weekly output is satisfying for viewers and the ways in which there can be helpful aspects to it for creators as well. But I'm just starting to understand that sometimes my creativity might be best fueled by just adding a little bit of my theater background to this habit that I'm fostering of the YouTube hobby. Like the big ideas that I have burbling in the back of my brain, the things that I've had to keep on the back burner for so long because I've been focused on a weekly output, are things that I'm really excited to start working on. I want to devote a lot of time and energy and attention to the bigger projects that I have in mind. And that's not going to be possible while also trying to churn out like quick weekly content. For me, it kind of just feels like the difference between, you know, when you're in rehearsals for a show, sometimes that's a very sustainable grind period of time of like, you know, you've got a month or two on your calendar when like you are able to really easily plan like what your rehearsal hours are going to be and you can organize the rest of your life around that really predictably. Sometimes when you're in the run for, you know, a long run of a show, it's also really easy to kind of plan what the rest of your life is going to be and you start to get into sort of like a muscle memory with the consistent performing of one show. Those periods of time are different from the intense focus that is sometimes required when you are trying to get a new thing up off the ground. You know, the weekly creativity of YouTube feels kind of comparable to the when you're doing a long run of a show and you're just showing up and doing the muscle memory and it's good work that you're doing, but it's kind of a grind and it's kind of predictable and you can kind of organize some of the rest of your life around it, but you don't have energy for much else while you're doing that work. And that's just different from one sort of more ambitious project that you want to focus on for YouTube. It feels very comparable there to like, you know, when you're staying late at tech rehearsals for nights in a row or weeks in a row, or like the really sort of Promethean moments of aha creativity that you find in late rehearsals sometimes when you're still like building the thing, you're creating the thing. Those are periods of time that require more dedication and that are a little bit more chaotic and less predictable and that require more time and energy. And both of those pieces of the puzzle are good. Like both of those pieces of the process rely on each other. They contribute to each other, but they can't necessarily both be happening at the same time. I really started thinking about all this when I took the time off for the top surgery. Part of me had been worried if I took a break, maybe YouTube wouldn't be here for me in the same way anymore once I came back. My fear had been that perhaps the consistency was in fact such an essential part of YouTube creativity that the channel had been growing and starting to find its audience and having fun when I had been consistently posting on a weekly basis, but that then when I took a break, I would come back and find that the momentum had been lost. That's what my fear was before I took the time off for top surgery. It ended up being the exact opposite, and I think part of why it went well was because the time that I took off, largely of course was just about the physical healing that was necessary, but part of what was done during that break was also the refilling of the creative cup. I read some new books so that I came back with new interesting topics to discuss for bookish videos. I had time to edit one of the more ambitious videos that I've done so far, the like longest reading vlog that I've done that has still to this date the most number of views as opposed to any of the other bookish videos. I wouldn't have been able to put that longer, awesome reading vlog together if I hadn't been in the midst of a break to get it done. Also just the fact that like, yeah, I had been tired prior to my break and I came back with like, yeah, some different levels of like, you know, physical energy and physical mobility just because of the thing that I was healing from, the surgery. But I did definitely come back to weekly uploads with more enthusiasm, a renewed sense of excitement about getting back to weekly uploads because I had allowed myself to step away from it for a bit. The good old fashioned, you know, if you love it, let it go, and if they come back. During the time when I wasn't posting because of the top surgery break, I even had that thing that I had heard other people talk about, that fabled thing of when a video that you initially uploaded and that you were disappointed didn't do very well initially when you uploaded it, blew up after the fact. A video that I had been really proud of from before the surgery that didn't do as well as I thought that it would, it randomly blew up in like the couple weeks before I came back from my break. So stepping away for a bit didn't end up hurting the channel. After returning back to weekly uploads since coming back after that break, the channel has continued to be a fun, flourishing place. There are something like 200 new subscribers in just the, 2 months-ish since I've been back to weekly uploads. So I feel pretty confident and pretty excited about experimenting with the rhythm more and more. Thinking about the ways in which the rhythm of a consistent weekly grind YouTuber can maybe be merged with the rhythm of an actor who is used to always having something on the back burner, always looking ahead to what the next project is going to be, sometimes taking a break, sometimes working on one thing for 6 freaking months. As an actor, sometimes you force yourself to take a break once an intense project is concluded because you need to catch up on some things from your personal life. Sometimes you are working incredibly hard on something that you're very proud of, but nobody on the outside can see it yet because it's a behind the scenes process for ages before it ever gets to the point where it can be shared. And sometimes you're in a pretty stable, predictable weekly routine where you have already rehearsed the show and the show has already been promoted and now you're just putting in your hours 7 nights a week and twice on Sundays kind of thing. I think that my YouTube creativity may sometimes take the form of being on a break, either just an actual break for rest or what seems to others to be like a break but is actually working very hard on something behind the scenes. And sometimes the YouTube creativity will be that predictable weekly routine of output. I'm excited to try this out, not only because I think it will be exciting and fulfilling for me to experiment with this rhythm, but I'm also really inspired to consider what this sort of routine might mean for the longevity of me being able to do YouTube for a long time. Like in the beginning, I kicked the can down the road for a long time of being kind of scared to start with the idea of doing weekly consistency, weekly uploads. Part of why I was scared to do that was because, well, are you just supposed to be able to commit to that for the rest of your freaking life then? Like that doesn't seem sustainable. Surely at some points in the course of a human life, there will be periods of time when you can't upload something every single week. And shouldn't that be okay? Or why wouldn't it be okay? How could it work? This idea now of giving myself permission to take a break when either I just need a rest or I have a series of videos that I want to work on, and then to come back to share the big things and be weekly consistent when it works, that feels a lot more sustainable. A human being could say to oneself, oh, I can keep that in my life for a lot longer. The idea of, am I going to do weekly uploads for whatever or for a set amount of time is a lot more restrictive and a lot more difficult to plan a future around. This idea really excites me because it feels like if this works, if this is something that continues to feel good and organic for the channel and that people respond to well, and that the putting of more effort and energy behind the scenes into videos during breaks then means like having cooler things to share and things that are received well. If this works well, then it feels like something that's going to be able to stay in my life for a longer period of time, which is my ultimate goal. Is even if I'm working different jobs or spending different periods of time with my friends and family or moving, it'd be nice to know that I can have the option of keeping this YouTube creativity with me. This feels like a cool way to be able to start thinking about doing that. Okay, so I like wearing button-up shirts. Look at the boop. That's my top surgery scar. Isn't that fun? Isn't that cool? Woo, shirts. The last thing I wanted to mention was just why you should stick around. I would love to recommend some videos for you that you can enjoy while I am gone. I would love to entice you to stay. If you have not already subscribed, to subscribe now. Maybe hit the bell, the notification bell thingy. I really cringed for a long time as a viewer when I would hear people talk about doing the notification bell bullshit. But I gotta be honest, as a viewer, it is nice that I now no longer miss miss the less consistent, more sporadic uploads from some of my favorite creators. Gotta make sure that I have my notification on so that when they post, I know and I can see it. I want to let you know that I plan on continuing to post in my community tab, probably on a weekly basis. That feels like a good way to hold myself accountable to a little bit of an idea of expressing to others what I'm working on and where I'm at in sort of my timeline of taking a break. Create some polls for people to be able to share ideas with me that I want to ask questions about, like for the projects that I'm working on. You know, help me choose between this thumbnail and that thumbnail, this video first or that video first. And it can also just be a fun place for me to like share my recommendations with you of like, oh my God, did you guys just see this most recent post from blah, blah, blah? Like fun to be able to stay in touch and do some like, here's what I'm working on and here's what I'm watching. If you're not super familiar with using the community tab, as long as you're subscribed to this channel, the things that I post in the community tab just appear in your feed. You'll be able to see, oh hey, there's a little community post from Chloe. I also wanted to mention that all of the videos that I already have posted are organized into playlists. So in the description box below, I will include the link to my playlist page. If you are a booktube person, then there's an entire backlog of videos there for you to enjoy. If you are a fan compilations person, then there's an entire backlog there for you to enjoy. If you maybe didn't know that I also have a playlist of like sort of all of my existential ramble philosophy in one place, or if you've never listened to any of my cringy acoustic music, you know, there's plenty there for you to enjoy. And last but not least, again, there's plenty of room for everyone to succeed, so I'm always happy to just be able to share recommendations and like point you to other creators that I think that you might enjoy, especially while this channel is on break and you can't have the best thing that you might prefer, which would be content from this channel. You can check out these other options that I'm happy to recommend that might be up your alley if you enjoy the gay creativity chaos of this channel. Here are some other creators that might be to your liking. I insist that everyone follow Allison Paiges. This is my comfort channel. There are cats. She's queer and autistic. She talks about books. She draws snails. What more do you need? Allison Paiges. Everybody should absolutely be following that channel. It's a great one to, again, go through a whole backlog while I'm on break. If you are a fan compilation person, ctpyp is my favorite Try Guys fan edit channel. They haven't posted for a few months, but the backlog is literally like more than 100 videos. The concepts that this person comes up with, like, you know, the title, the themes of the compilations, it's just inspired chaos humor. I love it. Recipe for instant serotonin whenever you need it. Just click on one of these videos. If you really enjoy the scrappy, like, community aspect of small creators, one of the small creators I highly recommend is Nicole. This is primarily a books channel, but it's a creator who, very much like me, you know, is sort of letting the overall umbrella of books and reading vlogs act as sort of like a springboard for also talking about philosophical shit, emotional shit, mental health shit, creative challenges. Hello there, it's Editing Chloe, and I'm jumping back in for just one more clip that I wanted to include because, God, I'm editing this video and I'm like, could I have chosen a less diverse group of creators to recommend over the course of this video? It's just a lot of people who look like me. So to be honest, I take very seriously the interview in which Ellen Pompeo said that famous line, but I listened to the Las Culturistas podcast, and on that podcast they just have a fabulous running joke of how they deliver that line, where it's not just that you say, oh yeah, that one interview that Ellen Pompeo gave where she said, I'm not seeing enough color. It's, I'm not seeing enough color. I'm not seeing enough color. So I was editing this video and I was just like, if Ellen Pompeo was watching, she would say, I'm not seeing enough color. And I would have to agree. So how about we do this? My lucky number is 7. So we'll do 7 quick rapid fire shout outs for some creators of color that you should absolutely also check out, that I love their channels. Number 1, Fictional Fates, for all of your British booktube needs. A fantasy reader. I can't handle fantasy, but the videos that this person makes are very, very good. Shanspeare is the most stylistic video essay channel in the game right now. The best looking video essays since ContraPoints. Beveraggi is a really cool reaction channel. I watch a lot of Taylor Swift reactions, and that is a genre full of white women. So Michael brings a really good different point of view as a Latino guy. D'Angelo Wallace is back and better than ever. I particularly highly recommend the videos that he just did recently about that frickin' Idol TV show. Sibling Rivalry is the podcast that is run by Monet, Xchange,
and Bob the Drag Queen, and there's so much content there for you to enjoy. They do a video for every single podcast episode. You might be familiar with the really cool food channel that is called Feed Maymay, and of course that's a great channel. But just this year also she started a second channel for vlogs, and it is so cute. There are cats, there's behind the scenes. I highly recommend that channel. And Cozy K is your ultimate source for all things lifestyle and gaming. She just uploaded her first in a series of moving vlogs, and I am a sucker for a moving vlog, so I can't wait to watch more of that. I think that'll do it. Let's cut back to regular Chloe.
I think ambitiously, I might be back from this break after just like 1 month, like 4-ish weeks. Realistically, I think that it might be a little bit longer than that. So thank you in advance for bearing with me. Thank you in advance for staying tuned on the community post if you would like some more specific, updates as I go about what that timeline is looking like. And in the meantime, I hope that you enjoy checking out the backlog here on this channel, checking out the other creators that I've recommended and their backlogs. There's so much to enjoy on this platform. There's like never gonna be an end to the number of other cool, creative weirdos you can find who are screaming into the void on this internet. And I just find that to be incredibly exciting. I'm so happy to be here. This is such a weird, cool place. Leave me some comments below. If you are also a creator, talk about your balance. What does balance feel like for you in terms of consistent output? Is it on YouTube that you are creatively consistent, or is it other like platforms or other IRL forces of creativity that you wield in the outside world? What are the ups and downs that you've maybe been throughout your creative time, your career, or your hobby life, just in terms of, oh, at first I thought that I would be best served by being consistent or keeping up with some sort of schedule with my creativity, and then I realized that I needed more flexibility? Or are you more one of the people who initially tried to be flexible, and as time went on you realized, oh no, I really need like set deadlines in order to ever compel myself to return to the drawing board or the instrument? Whether or not you are a creative person or a creator, do you feel like you are able to take breaks when you need to? Does the productivity grind culture that we all find ourselves in create stress or panic for you the way that it does sometimes for me? Or are you the type of person who gets a lot of satisfaction out of keeping yourself pretty constantly busy and keeping yourself pretty constantly on a grind? If there are other creators that for you are sort of like your comfort channel or the ones that you always recommend, leave some shout outs in the comments below. We can all swap recommendations like Pokemon cards. What I typically say as part of my outro is that I post new videos every single week, so I hope that you'll subscribe. I'm not gonna be posting videos weekly for a while here, but I do still hope that you'll subscribe. We are getting closer and closer to 1,000 all the time, which just blows my mind. And I do promise that when we hit 1,000 subscribers, whether or not I am on a break, I will do something cringy in the form of a video to say thank you and to celebrate. And that's gonna be really exciting. So I hope that you're subscribed. And I think that's it. This has been really nice to just be able to sit and kind of have like a little retrospective. Thank you for giving me the opportunity to just reflect on sort of what all of this is creating in terms of thoughts in my brain and things that I'm reflecting about. I think it's really helpful and really healthy as time goes on, as the seasons change, to just be able to check in with yourself about whether the schedule that you're working with, the goals that you currently have in front of you, are serving you, or whether you want to take a step back and consider some changes. Me making this video is part of how I've been processing that for myself. I'll see you again in a bit. I don't think it'll be a huge chunk of time, but the next time that I see you will be with one of the biggest, most ambitious projects that I've ever put together, and I'm super duper eager to share that. So I appreciate you having spent this time here with me today, and I look forward to sharing with you again next time. So until next time, take care of yourselves and take care of each other. I've been very brave while we've been recording. There are so many fucking summer bugs doing their thing right outside my closed window. And man, I just can't tell you how much I dislike summer. That's part of the other reason that I'm taking a break, frankly, is because I'm tired of sitting in front of this camera seemingly every single week and going, well, it's hot and I'm uncomfortable, but I'm gonna try not to complain about it. Like, no, I'm just gonna take the next month off, suffer in silence instead of reminding everyone how much I hate this time of year. Anyway. Hashtag relatable content. Hashtag everyone agrees. Thank you for watching, guys. I will see you next time, whenever that may be. Ooh, summer spooky.